Hey there, welcome to our podcast. Before we jump into today's episode, could you please do us a solid? If you're enjoying what you hear, give us a 5-star rating and hit that subscribe button on your platform. It really helps us reach more parents, coaches, and youth in the youth athlete development scene. All right, let's get into this week's chat.
Just to tie into your point about, not just athletes coming into our programs, our group programs to learn, but also us as coaches. I mean, we're working across a multitude of either sports like yourself or, I suppose, different high-performance programs. So just as we would like for them, we're also keen to keep developing and keep learning from, I suppose, different backgrounds and different, sporting scenes, which is great for these athletes. And again, as I said to you previously, some interleague teams have over half of athletes that we've worked with are actually in that particular team. So to get in excess of 12 plus athletes in one particular girls team, for example, on the back of and being part of their development has been really exciting. These are the exact programs that they've taken part in to be able to start to build those foundations and give themselves the best possible chance to be confident in what they do, knowing that when that time comes to have those trials, there's nothing standing in their way from their preparation point of view.
Yeah, and the unique thing about our program, so for those that don't know, our program kicks off next week, is the way that we go structured is, we do a group warm-up, we'll split half, half will do the running technique and then half will do the skills and then we'll switch over. The one thing we've actually noticed is the group that actually does the running technique first, they actually carry that technique over into the actual drill side. So we actually make sure that those who do the running tech work second, that they can actually have to go next time around doing it first. And this is a real critical thing. And this is why I think it's such an important aspect to include in any junior program is that running technique, because it will have a transfer effect. That's the whole point of having good running technique, is to actually transfer to the game itself. It's quite literally the thing. It's quite literal in that sense. And within that, we also noticed, and this is the same across a few other sports as well, is when kids have a long stride, and we've discussed this a couple of times actually, when they actually overstride in their running. So what I mean by that is when they run, is then they plant with their heel, and their heel is actually in front of their body when it actually lands. What that actually does, it creates a braking force. Obviously, from an injury perspective, that's actually worse. Performance perspective, it's worse. But we also notice from a kicking perspective, it actually makes it harder to kick, because then more than likely the kick, you have to kind of like compensate by actually trying to shift your weight forward. And ideally, from the vision that I've seen when you're working with those who actually kick really well, you actually want to be more in a stacked position, more in like a compressed position. And that allows you to actually direct the ball more directly, or direct it straight, but it allows your leg to actually swing through quite efficiently as well.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is kind of like the thing that I noticed over the years is, and when you do the film, it's like I see it all the time in Instagram now, and I actually break it down to show other people, is that stacked position that, I'm trying to teach them when they're actually running at top speed. Kicking at top speed is hard. It's really difficult. To be able to maintain your running technique at top speed and to be able to kick through is a really massive skill that will set you apart if you can do it well and do it consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've lost count the number of times I've said to athletes post your running session that they look completely different. The confidence and the know-how just presents them in a different light to the program immediately to follow your running session with me from a skills and game sense perspective. So again, I'm always taken aback by that spike in confidence and in performance within minutes of the crossover of our programs. And obviously we're very flexible. We like to mix and match, and we also upgrade athletes to different groups at different stages just to make sure that they are continuously challenged within our environment. So again, I completely support that notion, and for one, have seen that on numerous occasions.
What we've noticed with our program, and obviously, there's competition out there, and that I think that's fine. I think the more the merrier when it comes to programs. I think it's good to have a multitude of programs where kids can actually choose from and actually select based on what their needs are. Some kids like, what's the lack of a better term, the shiny the disco ball syndrome. They kind of like the idea of, certain, meeting their idols and players, and which I have no qualms about, and, learning from them. But I think the difference between us and a lot of other programs out there is, we've been in the system as coaches. We've been doing it for quite a while now. I initially got my first break at, Frankston Dolphins. First met you there when we were at Frankston Dolphins as well. And then we kind of kept on with our relationship throughout, and being able to just work in the junior development pathways, for the last, I don't know, I've been doing this for 10 years now. You've been doing it for, a relatively long period of time, obviously with, your boys and whatnot. And we've basically seen a huge uptick, a huge shift from, it's not about what or who's actually going to be there. It's about what are the kids actually going to get out of it? Like, what is the actual purpose? Is this program actually going to set me up for the next goal? Is this program going to set me up for, to get scouted, or put me in an opportunity, or fill in the gaps of, what they actually need to develop? It's really addressing those weaknesses, so they're no longer weaknesses. They're just like another tool in the tool belt for the athlete. They become a lot more versatile. They can kick around the corner. They can kick on the run. They can kick, into space a lot better than previously, where a lot of other programs, they'll kind of like, they'll kind of draw you in with the superstar that, that's running the program. But at the end of the day, they're probably just going to run through some basic fundamental work. And then it's like they feel good because they got to meet the idol, rather than be like, what did I actually get out of it? And then from a parent's perspective, and I would say this for the parents, really, when you're really selecting a program, I think you really got to look at what are the outcomes, the intended outcomes for the programs as well. So do they have a track record of producing, those specific outcomes that you want? Do you have access to the actual coach themselves? Do you actually get feedback from the coach? Do you get progress, updates? Are they doing things that I think the biggest thing is like, what is the intended purpose of the program, and is that actually in alignment with what you want your kid to actually develop moving forward? And then the other part that I find is, do you actually get access to the coach? Are they actually providing other resources? Are they providing the feedback that you can actually take away as well? And this is what I think a lot of programs have. Like, they might have show bags you can literally take away, but do they actually have information? Do they have feedback or skills or things that you need to focus on, or film that, you can forward through to the athlete or the parents? But I guess from your perspective, obviously I've kind of said about the ugly side of some programs and the lack of long-term vision and skill layering. How do you see programs moving forward? Are we going to see those programs still continue to be a thing, or parents are really going to be a little bit more smarter and wiser about what they put their kids into moving forward?
I think it's great that everyone gets out of it what they wish to do. And I suppose from my perspective, being involved in creating programs from a coach perspective, having some input into that, creating interleague programs, that's essentially what I feel is the difference. The fact that you've got some coaches here whose care and connection is paramount, but they can support that with creating state-of-the-art programs, learning from the best of the best coaches to give your kids the best chance of success. So I think to have someone who's in a system looking over your son or daughter's development, and then in addition to that, there's obviously complementary programs to reach out through yourself or myself relevant to what we cast our eyes over and where we might suggest areas to continue to improve and what's working. I think for me, the fact that we are in the system, working with high performance athletes, but also at the same time working with, in my case, kids as young as 6, learning how to kick, from athletes as old as 45 from Masters perspective. And then we've got our clutch athletes, in that wheelhouse range of Vic Metro, now Interleague coats as well. So there's no limit as to who we work with. But I think the fact that we're lucky enough to be in a space to be able to provide some of the input and feedback that is trending, that is live, that is state of the art, I suppose, drills and feedback, I think is really exciting from my perspective, and something that I love, I suppose, sharing with our athletes and families as we go along.
And I love the fact that you told me a little while ago, there's like that one drill that you did, you saw on social media or something like that, and you're like, I've been doing that for so long. It's like now it's becoming a thing that everyone's doing.
Oh, that's great. It's great. I think it's fantastic. We can all learn from each other. And I, again, just to reiterate the fact that I'm still keen to learn from other coaches and other sports, as well as other pathways too. So the fact that we can all learn from each other, but also it's nice and flattering at the same time to see an exact replica appear at another level too, which is great. So at the end of the day, as long as our athletes are getting better and they're fulfilled and they're connected to their team and club, we want massive player retention every which way, because although you might be a very high level team player, unless you have players from 16 to 24, for example, unless they stay connected, you won't have a team. So it's really important that, we are there for everyone. And I think our resources and our record speaks for itself in terms of the volume and numbers, the quality of the program, the quality of athletes that we see through. And if you keep coming and becoming your best, that's what's important. You become visible to your local coach. You become visible in the schoolyard. It's again, there's so many tangibles from attending some of our programs that can carry over to not just footy, but life itself.
Keep an eye out on the second installment of our conversation. If you want to stay updated on the latest episodes, make sure to subscribe to Inner Athlete on both YouTube and Spotify.